of additional safety challenges. What you see on our cervical dystonia results is that both at the 250 and 125 unit doses, we saw a meaningfully different duration profile. And probably what's very notable is we had very good safety results. In particular, if you look at dysphagia rates, very low, 1.6%, 3.9% for the 250 unit dose. And these are, significant complications that injectors are trying to avoid. So we saw that we got really good acute efficacy, really good duration, at all with a very attractive safety profile. So again, it further added to all of the information and data that's out there on our neuromodulator product that we think will help it perform in the market. Going to slide 30. In addition to, again, the aesthetic and the therapeutic platforms, we really like what we've done to sort of build additional opportunity and value in our organization through the partnership with Viatris on the biosimilar to Botox. We're looking to carve out the long-acting neuromodulator category, but through this partnership, we'll be able to participate in the short-acting category. And then expanding our geographic footprint through our partnership with Fosun. We'll start with 2 trials, one in glabellar lines and one in cervical dystonia. And this relationship will cover both aesthetic and therapeutic programs in China, Macau, Hong Kong. Both of these have meaningful dollars associated with them on sort of the development and commercialization side. So we think that this continues to add value to the overall organization. Moving on to slide 31, which is our closing slide. Again, we think that we're very well positioned for growth, and we really like the strategy. We have really novel and leading product portfolio and a services platform that we think is going to position us well in the market. We like how we're positioned in both aesthetics and therapeutics. We have a very seasoned management team and are incredibly focused on execution. And we have a very strong balance sheet as we move into 2021 with cash runway into 2023. With that, I'd like to close the company overview and presentation, and thank you very much for your time. I think at this point, we'll open it up for questions. Jessica, I will put it to you. I'm not sure how we're doing time-wise, so.
Yeah, we have just about 10 minutes for Q&A. So thanks everyone for those who have submitted questions. The first question is, what are the competitive advantages of HA fillers versus the other fillers on the market today?
Yeah, well, as I talked about, let me kind of turn back to one of the slides that I presented here. So slide number 12. If you look at the innovation in hyaluronic acid technology over time, a lot of the innovation has occurred in Europe and then it comes into North America. And part of the reason it takes longer is due to the regulatory side of things and the investment that's required in clinical trials. And this is the latest evolution and innovation in hyaluronic acid technology. Valerie Toupin, who's the founder and CEO of Teoxane, was frankly one of the creators of Juvederm, so she's been in this space for a long time. And as aesthetics have evolved over time, consumers want more of a natural look. They don't want to look sort of overdone. They want things to move naturally. And what they figured out was through this innovative preserved network technology or differentiated manufacturing process is that they can preserve more of the long strain hyaluronic acid technology that gives a good duration profile but mimics the hyaluronic acid that's in the skin. So you get this, very natural look, moves well. They're the first and only fillers to have an approval for dynamic wrinkles and folds. And then what we've heard from physicians that we've introduced it to is, it's very easy to inject. They like the look and the feel. They don't see some of the swelling that they can get with some of the other products. And it fills some of the holes in the product line, whether it's more superficial, some of them mid-face, and there's a variety of places where they're finding, real value for it. So we're early. Our first quarter of launch was in Q4, but we've been very encouraged by the response and the receptivity that we're getting to the product. And, frankly, again, if you look at sort of how they've performed in Europe in a much more competitive environment, we think that speaks to the quality of the products.
Great, thanks. And the next question is, how are you thinking about business development strategy going forward? The HintMD transaction was a really creative and synergistic deal. what kind of M&A or in-licensing transactions can we expect in the future?
Sure. So, as I mentioned earlier, if we look at our aesthetics franchise, we're really well positioned in the facial injectables category of aesthetics. And if you look at competitors, we've got sort of the suite of products that most competitors have. As you start breaking off and moving into other adjacencies within aesthetics, oftentimes it comes with a new or incremental commercial organization. So we really like how we're positioned today with a neuromodulator, hyaluronic acid fillers, and a services platform through the HintMD platform. So coming into this year, we felt we had some gaps in the portfolio that we needed to shore up. Where we sit today, we feel like we're very well positioned to compete in the facial aesthetic market. So we're going to have a pretty high bar in terms of other sort of strategic deals that we might do in the aesthetic space. Obviously, we're looking to build a big and a great company here, and so we'll be opportunistic as well. If we see things that make a lot of sense or would accelerate sort of our longer term goals, certainly we'll be open-minded, but it's going to be a high bar. We're looking forward to proving that we can execute this year. We've also got the whole therapeutics franchise that we're looking to build out, so we need to be mindful of sort of capital allocation on that side and how we get sort of rewarded for the investments that we're making there. So high level, we like where we're positioned today. We think we can unlock, a pretty good growth profile with where we're positioned, but we'll continue to be opportunistic.
Great. I think this is our last one. How is the integration process for HintMD progressing? Any notable hiccups or issues thus far?
Yeah, so, one of the things that happens when you integrate a company is you have to make sure that sort of the strategy that made sense as a startup aligns with sort of the strategy of the larger acquiring company, where we've already got sort of products and platforms. And I'll give you an example. When HintMD was a private company, they were looking at trying to prove value across a variety of different things: subscription services, integration with partners, partnering. All make a lot of sense as a small company that is scrappy and trying to prove value across a bunch of different categories. As we've acquired them, they're part of a larger brand in a planning cycle where we need to be very thoughtful and methodical. So some of the things like subscription services, white label loyalty, are all things that we're going to unlock, but we felt like first and foremost, it was really important to prove that on a larger scale and with our current organization, we could process payments reliably and stable, and that we could go into accounts and have success. And so that's what we've been focused on right now. We talked earlier about this next sort of generation of software upgrade through the PayFac, which we plan to launch this summer. That is going to allow us to much more seamlessly integrate and introduce things like subscriptions and loyalty, and that will be the next phase. And so we've had to sort of streamline the focus compared to where they were starting. So it's going according to plan, but that's sort of the difference and some of what we've done as part of this whole integration process.
Great. And I just want to check if there are any more questions. No, I think that's it. So, Mark, I'll turn it back over to you for the conclusion.
Great. Well, again, thanks everyone for taking time to listen to the Revance company update. After what was certainly a very challenging year for a lot of different organizations, we're incredibly proud of the team at Revance, what they were able to accomplish given the pandemic and the challenge. Onboarding an entire commercial organization virtually and remotely. But despite 2020 being a really transformational year for the company, we head into 21 with a lot of optimism and excitement around the approval of our neuromodulator product, and certainly buoyed by the early traction that we're seeing with the RHA filler line and HintMD platform. So thank you very much, and look forward to continuing to provide updates along the way this year.